right, I've been given the okay by television. ABC in the back has said we're good to go. Commercials are done, so we're ready to go. Again, I'd like to welcome everybody to our awards night. This is our 49th banquet. We're very excited that you're here. I want to just say, I need some housekeeping things. We need to ask everyone to remain. If you're an award winner, remain to the end. And that way, some of you have already taken some pictures, but we need pictures for the NISCA archive. So if everyone would remain, I would appreciate it. I know we're eating, but if we could just take a minute, and we don't have a flag, but we'll stand and face our president. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. I'd like to introduce our officers. If you would please stand. Our president, Tim Siro. Okay. Our treasurer, Tom Wojciechowicz. And the one that does everything here, Eve Julian. And we also have, I saved the best for last as far as I'm concerned, because we're fellow New Yorkers. And unfortunately, I feel for Diane, because Diane's probably the only president we've ever had that never had a chance to serve at face-to-face meetings. So she did a phenomenal job in a very hard time. And again, Diane, please stand up. Diane Hicks Hughes, the first female president of NISCA. And now I'd like to, we don't need to stand the awards people, but I'd like to recognize the awards committee, because I don't want to say it's a thankless job. It's a great job. We get a chance to look at everybody's resumes throughout the United States. And being fellow coaches, we have an idea what's going on, and we were able to hopefully identify what I feel is the best candidates that we can find, and I think we've done a great job. And if you look at the lists of award winners, it's who's who of swimming in the United States. So the people that were involved, I believe Phil Emery. Phil Emery's not here. Do we not have anybody? I'm sorry, Eve. We're not Zooming this then, right? So okay, all right. So if Phil is watching on YouTube. Phil Emery from Maine. Diane Hicks Hughes is one. Tom Hudson is another. And Tom is going to take over. This is my swan song, my one and only. Let's see. Don Mason. Arville McElroy. Dr. Steve Montgomery, who's not here. Mark Onstott. Marnie Shirley. And myself. Thank you all for the work that you've done. And again, we're always looking for sponsors, and I'll put a plug out there. We need some sponsors for certain things. So if you know someone, please speak to the people that are involved in marketing and so on, because the only way we can do things is by getting people to support us as well. So, but our sponsors. IST, which is Dick and Jane Farnsworth and Ryan Julian, they have been with us forever, a stalwart, the great people. Again, we need to thank them always. They're a wonderful job. Swimming World magazine. There's not much I can say about Brent. I'm going to I'm going to choke up. Brent, I would consider to be a friend. He's certainly a friend of NISCA. And we miss him. We wish the best. He's not very healthy right now. But keep your fingers crossed and pray for him. Hasty. Hasty's been with us for as long as I can remember. Steve is doing the job now. Hasty Awards is actually sponsoring our dinner here tonight. Fenice with Jim Mix. Jim usually comes. I'm not sure why he's not here today, but Jim has always been a big supporter of NISCA. Swim Outlet, I believe that's fairly new. Correct me, Alvaro? Swim Outlet, how long? Is it that long? Rob Penner. Duraflex just came on board. And that's Owen Pyatt. And then some of you remember Bruce Hopping. And the Kalos, how do I pronounce it? The foundation, Bruce is no longer with us, but Bruce is the one that commissioned the big trophies that we don't have here. And if you haven't seen them, what we've done is try to make it, because every time we asked, we used to have them here, and then you guys had to try to bring them home. It was impossible. So this is what it looks like. The base is being mailed by Hasty, and the trophies are being mailed by I don't know who does it, but Tom certainly does. So if you don't get them, Tom will tell you when, if you want to talk to Tom, when they're going to come. All right, this is the time we get to, this is scary. This is scary because I'd like to ask the past presidents of NISCA to stand. Diane Hicks Hughes, Arvil, McElroy, Mark Onstott. Now, Dana, I thought would be on the screen, but Dana's not on the screen, so he's not here, and myself. And what I want to say is I never, ever thought I would say this, but I am the oldest president that's in this room today, not by age, but when I was elected as president. I never thought that would happen. But again, we owe a lot to these people. You know, they're our leadership. They're what brought us to where we are today. All right, appreciation awards. We've given out most of them. Matter of fact, I think we have given them all out when they spoke. But again, I'd like to thank Eric Talsma and Kyle Beteloff and Dave Barney and also, right here, Russ Engel for speaking not only here, but some of them also spoke at NISCA. Again, thank you. I don't know what's happened to the 25-year awards. I've tried to get them out. I know we've tried to publicize it, but I think 25 years is a thing of the past. I don't know if we're going to get many of our newer coaches to go 25 years. I'd love to see that happen. I think it's wonderful. I think a lot of us in this room here today have gone 30 or more. I know I did. So we don't have any. But let's try. I will, especially with NISCA's own people, we need to try to find if there are any and they don't know. So again, right now we don't have any for this year. The PowerPoint winners, I'm not going to go over the names because we don't even have the awards here. But we do have PowerPoints from last year. You can look at them in the book; they're there. Congratulations to all those people that filled out the award because unfortunately we don't get as many as we should get. Certainly every top 5 finisher in the state should be filling out one of those forms, and maybe even more because how your dual meet is going to be different than how you finish in the state meet. So if you haven't filled out the PowerPoints, you really should. It's a nice honor. Okay, completion of service award. We do have one. Brian is not here today. He's out in California, and he's the water polo person. So again, thank you, Brian, for all that you did for us. So we give him that award. And the Dave Robertson Award. Did I hear through the grapevine that somebody did apply for one?
We had one application, Eric from Colorado.
Right, but all right, so that was too late for us to put into the program. But we, again, 5 state champions. That's something to be said. I mean, that's incredible. So for everyone that's on that list, wow. I'm in awe. Never going to happen with me. Anyway, okay. Last thing before we get on to our awards. I felt bad. Kyle and I were talking a few minutes ago. We never had a chance in person to honor 2020 award winners. So at this time, I'd like to ask Kyle to stand up as an Outstanding Service Award winner from 2020. Let's give him the recognition he deserves. And I don't believe there's anyone else in this room that was one of those award winners. Geez, I hope not, because I'd feel bad. But again, congratulations, Kyle, and we do apologize. But Kyle went last year to Greensboro. He thought he'd get his award last year, and he didn't. Anyway, but again, Kyle's been, he's the up-and-comers of NISCA. He's the one that's got to stay around and do the work of the old guys that are going to be leaving. And so you're going to have to start to talk to your fellow coaches, that like that Super Bowl music at halftime. Because the ones that didn't, we're gone. Okay? All right. So at this time, I'd like to ask Callahan to come up. Keeler will be presenting the award to Jim Callahan. The floor is yours.
Thank you for that. As he said, I'm Keeler Callahan. I'm the current coach of Worthington, Kilbourne, and Thomas Worthington up in just outside of Columbus, Ohio. And I have the honor of presenting my dad his award tonight. As a swimmer, my dad graduated from Solon High School in 1977, where he was a state-level swimmer. The next 4 years were spent at Ohio State University as a member of the varsity swim team, where he served as captain his senior year in 1981. And he continues to compete at Masters at the national level every year and every chance he gets. As a coach, he was a 24-time conference team champion, 6-time district team champion, 11-time district coach of the year, a 2-time state team champion, 1 in water polo and 1 in swimming, a 3-time Ohio coach of the year. He coached 14 individual state champions, 110 All-Americans, along with getting the OHSAA Sportsmanship, Ethics, and Integrity Award, the Larry Lyon Service Award, the Carl Worthwine Award, which is considered Ohio's highest honor for a swim coach. And he was also inducted in the inaugural class of the Ohio High School Swimming Hall of Fame. Now, as amazing as all those accolades and stats are, everyone here knows that's not what makes a great coach. It's the person behind those stats. For me, it's hard to think of just one story that sticks out when thinking about my dad. That in itself kind of speaks to who he is as a person. He's someone who's always done everything consistently great. Every day, every interaction, every person in every situation, he has consistently worked amazingly hard and treated it all with respect no matter the circumstances. This reminds me of his lifelong love of swimming, where I learned what true dedication and motivation looks like. I think back as a high school swimmer, I would come in before our morning practice and be sitting in the bleachers and see him swim lap after lap by himself. And he would do this every single morning without taking one off, without missing. And he did it just for the love of the sport. The real kicker in this is our high school practice started at 5:45 in the morning, and he was doing his own full practice before that. He continued to do this throughout his 36-year high school coaching career and continues to do it now. This kind of dedication, motivation, and passion is something you can't easily teach. But it is no doubt where I learned the cornerstones of my work ethic along with hundreds of his other swimmers. He's the ultimate leader by example and has made everyone around him better because of it. And without further ado, it's my great pleasure to present the NISCA Outstanding Service Award to my father, Jim Callahan.
If I could, just a couple quick things. Again, what a proud moment as a father to have your son do something like this, so thank you very much. I want to thank NISCA for all the work that you guys do every year for so long. I was a member of NISCA for all my coaching career, and I never thought this would be something that would be in my future. So again, NISCA, thank you very much. And again, a special thanks to Jim Sterrett, because I know he was kind of a voice in the room that was pushing things there. But again, there's just always so many people that help you along your way, from my parents, my first coaches, Bob Eckstein, Ron Grant, my college coaches, Dick Sloan, John Bruce, my first head coach when I got out there. And as all of you know, it's just because of the swimmers that the athletes, the kids, there's so many great kids out there, and that's the thing that makes it so special there. So again, just thank you very much. It's an honor and something that is really something that I will never forget and cherish very much. So thank you all very much. Peter, I do have one thing to say for you. I know you will have a 25-year coach in about 21 years.
Congratulations. That's great. All right. Our next presenter will be Steve Hoyt, who we just found out, small world, graduated from New Trier High School. Go Indians. Not Trevians? Indians. And he will be presenting the award for Susie Hoyt.
As Peter said, my name's Steve Hoyt, and in these circles, I'm best known as Susie's husband. I first want to congratulate all the winners today and the awards. It's a tremendous accomplishment for all of you. And Peter stole some of my thunder here, but before I present Susie, I wanted to share something that highlights what a small world the swimming community is. As he said, I grew up in Winnetka, Illinois, and I proudly graduated from the great New Trier High School, as did my father and his father, so on and so on. New Trier is famous for building the first indoor high school pool in the country in 1913. Now, I was not a swimmer. I was fully entrenched in the strong soccer program at New Trier. But my father, Landon Hoyt, was a sprinter for New Trier in the early 1940s and was teammates with an All-American backstroker named David H. Robertson. They were coached by the great Edgar Jackson, who spent 34 years at New Trier. As many of you probably know, as probably all of you know, David Robertson is known around here as the father of NISCA. The Robertson family were family friends of the Hoyt family. David H. Robertson started as an assistant coach at New Trier in the late 1940s and rose to the head coaching duties in the early 1950s. He coached at New Trier for 24 years, where he invented interval training and tapering after observing the training of Roger Bannister, who broke the 4-minute mile. We also have Mark Onstad, who was a long-tenured New Trier coach, here with us today. My brother Bill Hoyt is still good friends with David Robertson Jr., as they just went on a week-long canoe trip in 2021. My brother Bill attended David H. Robertson's funeral in 2019, as many of you probably did. And David Jr. attended my mom's memorial just recently in 2021. So I find it fascinating that I'm standing here in front of NISCA and have that kind of connection to this conference. Now I'd like to talk about Susie Hoyt. Susie and I have been married for over 31 years. We have 3 boys who all participated on Susie's teams, high school teams. 2 of them are currently involved in coaching, as our oldest son, Stevie, is the assistant swimming coach at Trinity College in Hartford, Connecticut. Sam, our middle child, is the head diving coach at Connecticut College in New London, Connecticut. And really, there's no bigger compliment than to have your children follow in your footsteps, as they have seen Susie coach the right way for decades. Some have asked me if Susie is competitive. You bet she is. But I can unequivocally say that that is secondary for her. Number 1 by a mile is to be humble, show unmatched sportsmanship, teach life lessons, and just do things the right way. She has all the fantastic stats, as evidenced by over 32 years of coaching, 530 high school wins, 45 conference titles, numerous coaching awards and honors. Susie has always worked tirelessly to become the best coach she can be. She'd pick the brains of successful coaches and is always willing to learn something new and consistently puts her best foot forward. Her motto is adopted from her high school, Holton Arms, in Potomac, Maryland. In Latin, it is Inveniam viam alfacium, which translated is, I will find a way or make one. So I'm sure there are many coaches here today. Probably every single person here is a coach in swimming. And I do want to share a talent Susie has that you won't find on a stat sheet. As all the coaches here know, in swimming there are lots of meets that you know you are going to win. And there are lots of meets you know you're going to lose. You're just outmatched. Then there are those magical meets that come down to the final relay and depend on a certain athlete being in a certain event. Susie has an uncanny ability to know her swimmers so well and what the opponent's tendencies are that she's never lost one of those meets. That's a nearly impossible thing to do, and you'll never find that on a stat sheet. But again, that is not her best quality. There's a famous quote from Maya Angelou that says, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. I like to modify this for Susie by saying people will forget their times, people will forget who won the races, but people will never forget how you made them feel. This is all proved out by the countless number of athletes who return after graduation at some point to tell Susie how important that time was with her and just how important those life lessons were, even though they did not realize it during their high school years. It's truly rewarding thing to have happen, knowing that you have influenced a young child or high school student in that manner. So without further ado, I am honored and privileged to present Susie Hoyt as an Outstanding Service Award winner.
Good afternoon. Something that you should know about me right off the bat is that if I were on that old show, Fear Factor, the 2 things I would be required to do would be to go to the dentist and to speak in public. That being said, I'm truly honored and humbled to be here today to receive this award. But I'm just the face of it. A swim team is just that, a team. I couldn't have achieved all that I have without the ongoing support of so many others. To start, my wonderful family, especially my husband Steve, who you just heard from, my 3 sons, Stevie, Sam, and Spencer. They're the reason that I've been able to coach to the best of my ability all these years. They've all given me unlimited patience and encouragement and have put up with my late and weekend practices and meets. They've tolerated pizza dinners from the concession stand and my ongoing incessant chatter about my opponents, my strategies, my hopes, my dreams, and my failures. My husband is my best fan, my record keeper, my videographer, my newspaper reporter, my pretend opponent when I'm working out a meet lineup, and a shoulder to cry on when things tend to get tough. He's been to more than 90% of my meets in the past 32 years and is still in the stands today, acting as a videographer during COVID so that the families of the swimmers and the divers who were not allowed in the school wouldn't miss out on the opportunity to see the children compete. I've also been blessed with an amazing diving coach, Shelley Farrar, who's been with me for 25 years. Her coaching ability is amazing. My son became an All-American under her guidance, and her support for me is unwavering. She's a good cop to my bad cop, the yin to my yang. In the past 5 years, the school is able to add a swimming assistant to my program. My sons Stevie and Andy Alberg were able to fill that position at different times in these past few years. They both swam for me in high school and knew exactly what to do and when to do it. They knew my style and how the team worked and fit in seamlessly with both me and Shelley. Their extensive knowledge base and refreshing ideas added to the program, allowing us to work more extensively with each athlete on a daily basis. They gave the team an infusion of youthful exuberance and also gave me the courage to try new ideas. My school administration is also the next part of my team. My athletic directors, I've had 3 of them at Glastonbury High School, Ray Nicoletta, Barbara Startup, and my current athletic director, Trish Whitkin, and her assistant, Ashley Kitchens, have always been incredibly understanding, have always had my back, and have always been there for me. And then the final part of my team are my swimming families. I've been incredibly blessed throughout the years to have such wonderful families come through our program. The kids are respectful, they're hardworking, and they're kind to one another. They're team players who feel honored to be a part of our program, and their families are gracious, thankful, and supportive of the coaches and of our program. I couldn't ask for a better group of people to be a part of my life every day. Thank you, NISCA, again for this incredible honor.
Okay, bring up Orville, presenting the award for Russ Engel.
Good afternoon. I'm not going to spend time talking about all of the accolades that Russ has won, the All-Americans, the state champions, the day-to-day growth of a program. Because that's not Russ. What's Russ is, he's the man that was asked to escort one of his divers down the aisle at her wedding. He's the one that gets to be called Grandpa, by some of the kids, their children. And they bring their children back to meet him because he's had such an influence on their lives. And he's had a great influence on mine. We've had the privilege to work together for probably 20 years. When I left our original school, Olathe South, to go to Blue Valley Southwest and start a new program, we had a diving coach for a couple of years who then decided her realty career was more important at that time in her life. And so I gave a call to Russ and said, Russ, please come out here. I miss you. And he's been the rock. When I'm here at NISCA, he's home running swim meets, running the timing system if he needs to, because I can't be there during the first meet of the season. It always seems to happen during a NISCA conference. But he's that type of person. He's a rock. He's a confidant for his swimmers. And he has a major impact on all of their lives. And so it's my great pleasure to offer him the Outstanding Service Award from NISCA.
Thank you all for those kind words. I don't really deserve most of them, but thank you anyway. I'd also like to thank the Awards Committee for their consideration. This is an amazing honor for me considering out of college, I was adamant about not becoming a coach. When I graduated with a degree in physical education, I didn't want to fall into that stereotype of the PE teacher who was more concerned about the sport he was coaching than the classes I was teaching. As all new teachers, I wanted to change the face of education. Well, as a lot of us know, education system doesn't want to be changed. So I decided to attempt coaching. With my audience in mind, I was trying to come up with some words of wisdom that would inspire others to realize what an amazing adventure it is to be involved in our sport. Fortunately, most people in this room already realize that. And with that being said, maybe my story can help of how I got here and why I stayed around. Hopefully might convince someone else to join our amazing fraternity. I'm not comfortable about talking about myself, but here it goes. As I stated earlier, I had no intention of being a coach. It's not because I had some unpleasant experiences with former coaches. I had great coaches. Baseball, football, track, diving, and yes, even swimming. One of my diving coaches is still a mentor of mine today. I must be honest, I only lasted as a swimmer as a week. As the realization became clear that I wasn't going to revolutionize the educational system, a diving coach position opened up at a new high school in the area. And I decided, why not give it a chance? I was terrible. I didn't know what I was doing, and after 3 years, I not only got out of coaching, I got out of education altogether, only to return shortly in a 35-year career as a substitute teacher. So if you heard all those horror stories about substitute teachers, come to me. Jump ahead 11 years. I went from still not wanting to be a coach to agreeing to be one in a matter of minutes. That's a story for another time. I did have one requirement. I was not going to coach girls. I had a couple of acquaintances who got accused of inappropriate behavior with coaching with girls. Now, and that made the front page of the paper. It was later found out that these girls were complaining about playing time. That didn't make the front page of the paper. I didn't want that for me. Later, I had a young lady, a girlfriend of one of my boy divers, and her mother convinced me to coach girls. One of the best decisions I've ever made. I'm a big fan of the University of Kansas men's basketball team. As a side note, I'm usually hesitant to come to these conferences because every time I come, they lose. At that time, Roy Williams was the coach, and he was very successful. I figured maybe I could do something he does to help his athletes. He had a habit of starting out each practice with a quote to get the players in the right frame of mind. So I started using lots of quotes. And if you come to any of my practices, you'll notice they're posted all over the walls. One of my favorite quotes comes from a former high school football coach who started his own business on the side. He did well enough in that business to buy his own professional football team. His quote was, "You beat 50% of the people by just showing up. You beat 40% of the people by working hard, and the last 10% is a dogfight." This was the time I started coaching with Arvel. A couple years into this coaching stint, Arvel lets me know that there was going to be a Kansas Swim Coaches Clinic that I should attend. I showed up. At the clinic, I volunteered to write a newsletter with all the times the coaches would be sending me. Nobody sent me any times. Then Arvel suggested I become a member of NISCA. In fact, I don't think I had a choice because if I remember correctly, he put it in the team membership and put my name on the list. As you can tell, there's kind of a common thread running through this whole story. Next, I was asked by you-know-who to be the state NISCA state director. I didn't know what I was supposed to do, but I showed up and promoted NISCA as being a professional organization to be part of. It was then suggested by someone that I attend a national conference. I figured that if I was going to really get involved in this thing, I'd better show up. I was able to attend the diving committee meeting where I met Don, I met Trey, and met Murr. And Don asked me if I'd like to be on the committee. Didn't know what he was talking about, but it sounded like lots of fun. Then a couple months later, I received an invitation to serve on the All-American Committee. I showed up, but to be honest with you, I was scared to death. But what I found out, it was diving coaches across the country thought the same, spoke the same, and even judged the same. And so I guess I did an okay since I've been back 9 times. And okay, at that same convention, I was asked to be the Zone 5 director. At that time, we were still doing the Top 16 awards. If you know anything about Kansas girls swimming and diving, it's in the spring. So I would leave the state meet Saturday night, compile all those names, print out the 336 certificates, and hopefully get them in the mail so the kids would get them before the school was out. Again, because the girls' season is the spring, I'm not able to get to the conference every year. The year Arvel was to take over the presidency, and he was still serving as a Kansas swim coach as a president, I was able to make the conference that year. And yes, KU lost that year. And as we were walking to one of the meetings, he says, we need to find somebody to take my place for the Kansas president. I said one thing. I was thinking about that. That's all I said. Didn't think about it again after that. And I know some of you have heard the story where we were at the Kansas coaches clinic. It came time to nominate a new president. I was treasurer, so I was off doing treasurer's jobs. I heard my name being mentioned, and the next thing I knew, I was president of the Kansas Swim Coaches Association. I'm not sure if it exactly happened that way, but that's how I remember it. And I was able to serve for 10 years, enjoyed every minute of it. But I do have to admit, I did ruffle some feathers. And that same football coach had a quote that said, if you expect to turn somebody on to an idea, expect to turn someone off. I am so passionate about our sport, I wanted the other coaches to be as passionate as I am. I wanted to get them involved. So I ruffled their feathers. Those are a few, that's how I got here. Now a few examples of why I stick around and work so hard. We were practicing over winter break one year, and one of my boy divers comes up to me and says, I got kicked out of my house last night. My response to him was, if there's things you need to get done, it's okay to miss practice. And he said, diving's the only thing I have right now. So we stayed at practice. As many of you have, and I do right now, still run a swimming pool during the summer. We had a young man who was dating one of my lifeguards. It was very evident that being at the pool was distracting to her, and I informed him, the days that she's working, you can't come to the pool. He showed up the next day. She was working. He was informed he was going to have to leave, and he decided to question my authority. Fortunately, that day, my supervisor was there. Things got heated, and he was led away from the pool in handcuffs. Now, fast forward 3 months, start of the boys' season, guess who comes walking in the door? He had come from a broken home and just needed a little bit of guidance. He was able to get with Arvel at school during the day and me at practice at night. He is now works at a distribution center, married with a young daughter, and still occasionally visits the pool. At the beginning of one girl's season, this little tiny freshman comes to the first practice. She tells me she's a trampolinist. And I later found out she was a nationally ranked trampolinist. But you know about trampolinists? They don't go in head first. And diving is a head first sport. We were getting past that, and she was doing well. She'd even won a couple of meets. Then suddenly she disappeared. I let her receive an email from her mother. The mom let me know she was suffering from major anxiety attacks. And like an idiot, I went, I wonder why this freshman was having anxiety attacks. Well, I'm sure you all remember the abuse scandal that rocked the gymnastics world. This innocent young lady had been interviewed by the FBI twice because of a coach that was stalking her. She did come back her sophomore year with a state champion. She finished up her junior year as runner-up, and if her coach hadn't had her do a questionable dive her senior year, she would have been a champion her senior year. So she ended up second. Now, this little girl hated high school. When she turned 18, she signed herself out of school almost every day. Now she's studying for a PhD in child life studies, where she helps kids in the hospital through their trauma. And she's still a little tiny. The last one I have is about a young woman who, if I can find it, it's difficult for me to talk about because of the things that she went through while she was in high school, what she's still going through. I don't want to go into details because that could take too much time. But as a high school student, she is harassed by other students, coaches, and get this, high school administrators. High school or district administrators, you say. Her father was a district administrator. Her parents had a terrible breakup, and these people who didn't know the whole story, didn't know all the information, made judgments that weren't true. Well, later her father ended up in prison, and because we had gotten close, like Arvel said, I had the privilege to walk her down the aisle at her wedding. I wish I could tell you things have gotten better, but they haven't. Someone should make a movie about her life, and no one believed the things that she's still going through. If you remember earlier, I said there was a girl and a mother who convinced me to coach girls. This was her. She is now a physician assistant with an amazing husband and an unbelievable son. Those are just a few of the many reasons that we all have had why we keep showing up and working so hard. It would be remiss of me if not taking advantage of the situation, as I do with my students and athletes, and give people something to talk about. Now I'm going to ruffle some feathers, turn some people off with the chance of turning some people on. As a substitute teacher, I have at times, lots of time, to think about these things. I wonder that when we go international, shouldn't we change our name to International Organization, or International Interscholastic Organization? International Interscholastic Swim Coaches Association. And I also wonder, since we coach more than one discipline, shouldn't our name be the International Interscholastic Aquatic Coaches Association? And this last thing I want to talk about, I know the conference has already talked about it, but I wonder why an organization as devoted to academic excellence as we are would have their conference during the time that the coaches who are teachers are asked to step out of the classroom to attend. Even the virtual sessions are held at the time these coaches are in classroom. Anyway, those are some of the things I wonder about. Have I ruffled some feathers? If not, I need to work a little bit harder. Thank you again for this honor.
Okay, Jenna Johnson is going to present the award to David Johnson.
Hello. I'll keep this quick because I'm a crier. And I have a flight to catch. I'm Jenna Johnson. I have the pleasure of being Dave Johnson's daughter. I, too, work in the swimming community. It's a big but small one. And I feel like this room today kind of addresses to that sentiment. It doesn't feel like 30 years ago I was learning to walk and shuffle breakfast tacos down my throat on the very same pool deck that my dad was fulfilling his dream. Early mornings, late dinners, raising a family, yet he still found time to devote his heart to his biggest passion, the sport of swim. That's when it gets rough. I know Dave will speak to a lot of his accolades, but for me, what's more important than the accolades and the achievements are the relationships and connections that he's formed along the way. You should see the amount of people on his retirement party list. All of this to say, I'm so proud to have been a part of the ride, not only as one of your swimmers, and thank God I never have to do a 4 a.m. set again, but most importantly, your daughter. It's truly my favorite title. There's 2 quotes that resonate with me when I think of my dad. It's good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your best is, or until your good is better and your better is best. And 2, work hard, play hard. I think we both do that. Congrats on your award and enjoy this moment. And please help me welcome my dad to achieve the 2022 NISCA Outstanding Service Award.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Jenna, for those kind words.
NISCA committee members, NISCA members, and guests. I want to thank you for this opportunity to be here in Atlanta today to accept this award. Reviewing the list of former recipients, I'm very honored to be included in this group of professionals. I would like to introduce my family and friends that are here today, the back table. My wife, Donna, who continues to support everything I do. My very, very good friends, Bill and Gwen Baldwin. Bill I've known since 5th grade. And your Mark Jetto, who is your president-elect, who's been one of my staff members for many years. First, I want to thank God for challenging me throughout the years. Whether the challenge was to create great workouts for swimmers, to make me the best administrator or boss, to be the best father and husband, or to be a great friend to others. I will continue to accept these challenges each day of my life. I have a few other people I'd like to thank for making me what I am today and allowing me to be here. My dad worked for the YMCA as a youth director and executive director. Every Saturday I was at the Y, doing cartoons for me. And I thank him for introducing me to the sport of swimming at a very young age. When I started college, I wanted to be a dentist. My major was biology. I minored in chemistry and math. I did take the dental boards. And I did okay, but then I asked myself, do I really want to look in people's mouths all my life? So I reflected on that, and towards the end of my undergraduate life at Central Michigan University, I decided to apply for graduate school at the University of Michigan in exercise physiology. I was accepted into Michigan and started my degree plan in '77. Having been involved in swimming and having done some age group coaching while at Central Michigan, I decided one afternoon to go over to the Matman pool to talk to the coach about any coaching possibilities. This was at Michigan. The coach was Gus Steger. He was the 1960 and 64 Olympic coach. So I asked him if there was anything I was able to do. And he looked at me and said, Johnson, I have no money to pay anyone. But if you would like to volunteer, I'll bring you on as an assistant and let you travel and work with the team. That was a great day, and I really feel it was the beginning of my coaching career. Thank you, Gus. In '78, following graduation, I was looking for a coaching job. I thought it was going to be pretty easy. I got a bachelor's degree. I got a master's degree. I said, 24 years old, I can find a good job. I still have all 37 of these jobs I applied for in the envelopes that I did not get. So within that time, I was able to meet up with a gentleman named Larry Reed. He was the aquatics director in Chelsea, Michigan. And he hired me that spring to be the assistant high school girls and boys coach, head club coach, middle school coach, evening pool supervisor, and adult lessons instructor. You tell kids these days that you did all that for less than $12,000, and they look at you like you are really stupid. Anyway, I worked in Chelsea until 1982, moved to San Antonio, Texas, coached high school, and worked as an age group coach for the Alamo Area Aquatic Association under John Ryan. Fast forward to 1985, I accepted a position back in Ann Arbor as high school coach at Ann Arbor Huron High School and the head coach of the Ann Arbor Swim Club. During that time, I had the opportunity to know John Urbanchek, Jim Richardson, Denny Hill, and my assistant in both club and high school, Paul Griffith. All four of these individuals had an impact on my career. One day, Denny and I sat down for 2.5 hours with John and discussed his anaerobic threshold and his different colored charts, which I'm sure some of you are aware of. What a day that was. I still have those charts and still use those charts. Thank you, John. I returned to San Antonio in 1988 to become the head coach of the Alamo Area Aquatic Association, the same facility I worked at in 1982 to 85. I want to thank Bill Walker, a former recipient of this award, for his guidance as the Northeast ISD School District Aquatics Director from 1988 to 2001. In 2001, Coach Walker retired, and I became the aquatics coordinator at that time, in which the title was changed in 2017 to aquatics director. During the 2000s, I got involved in NISCA as a regional liaison and vice president. I want to thank Dr. Steve Montgomery for being such a good mentor to me within that organization. To conclude, my life in coaching has been great, and I've met a lot of wonderful people. I want to close with this. With retirement looming the end of June,
Donna and I have been working with our investment broker quite a bit. He calls me coach, and that's an honor. Thank you.
And our last outstanding service award winner is, I don't want to say incognito, but if you look at his pictures, they're a little different than he looks now. And he also might be the biggest award winner we've ever had. But he is, and I mean tall. I mean tall. I wouldn't go that way. But, you know, he's been a friend of NISCA for a long time. And quite frankly, I think we're all a little disappointed that he's leaving the swimming profession, maybe just for now. But we will miss you in the swimming world. I'd like to ask Mike Torrey, who we all know, and are welcome to come back. Mike is here to present the award to Eric Talsma.
Congratulations to all of the honorees this afternoon. Mike Torrey is my name. I'm here to introduce Eric, Hamilton High School in Michigan. We won't repeat his extensive bio that you see in your program, but I would like to give you a glimpse of how I see Eric that he would not tell you about himself. He has the heart of a servant that has lasted since he started when he coached swimming, and Hamilton built a pool. He has served as NISCA and a West Michigan Swim League treasurer for many years, and we all know how important a good treasurer is. He is active in his local church, serving on their board, and has represented the congregation in a Christian manner. He's been the recreational director as well as pool director and swim coach in this school district for girls in the fall, boys in the winter, and age group in the summer. The recreation program has 7 activities at least where he had to deal with coaches, athletes, and everybody's favorite, parents. His instructional swim program had classes offered at every level. The pool was always busy. Classes were offered for the entire community, seniors to babes. If you were fortunate enough to take your team to Hamilton for a meet, you knew you had a fight on your hands in a good way and a very well-run meet. His team competitions were always pointing to the athlete's last swim. For Eric swimmers, that meant the conference meet or, most likely, the state meet. He has had All-Americans in swimming and diving in a school of less than 800 students without recruiting foreign exchange students or having move-ins. Hamilton High School is surrounded by at least 5 teams that had a high level of swimming in the state and conferences. While building this swimming program, he has also been raising a family with his wife, Amy. He is the father of 3 boys, Evan, Elliot, and Spencer. Each one of them is unique and getting better every year with Eric's guidance. Amy and Eric have been married for 23 years. My wife, Kathy, and I have a special connection with Amy and Eric in that Amy's family was the first family that welcomed us into our neighborhood when we moved into Zeeland and lived in the same cul-de-sac for 20 years. We continue to be very good friends with Amy's parents, and needless to say, when they started dating, we were grilled by her parents about this young man, Eric Talsma. Our daughters remain fitness to date her, and obviously that worked well. Needless to say, they've started dating, and our daughters remain good friends, Amy and Eric, to this day. All swimming and diving spouses are an integral part of any award that their spouses earn. So, congratulations to Amy as well. And now, I know after all those glowing comments, there has to be a catch. Well, there is. Don't play golf against Eric unless you're getting a lot of strokes. And never play cornhole unless you're a pro. And with that, I give you Eric Talsma.
Well, thank you, Tori, and to NISCA for the wonderful introduction and this award. Congratulations to all of those that are receiving awards today, those in attendance today. Especially thank you to my buddy Rob and his wife Nikki, and my wife, and Julie, spouse of Ian, who traveled down here. Who put it so low? For all those that traveled for this banquet today. Special thank you to my wife, Amy. She always gives me great perspective by putting me in my place, and I need that. Good kids make a coach look good, and I've coached a lot of great kids through the years. As this is, in my opinion, a coaching staff award, I want to recognize my team back home, Steve Vandeweg, Matt Onk, Julianne Camps, Liz Vandeweg, and Aaron Passman, who I've had the pleasure of coaching with over the last 20 years. I have a lot of coaches that are mentors, friends, sounding boards, shoulders that I stand on. I hate to name anyone by name in the fear of leaving anybody out, but I would like to mention a few of the most important coaches in my life. The late Don Kimball. From Don, I learned a lot about the technical side of swimming and how to connect with kids. Mr. Michael Torrey, he provided the framework for building the program at Hamilton. We stood on the shoulders of the Zealand Swim program and their success, how he started the program there. We were able to do that in Hamilton as well. And probably more importantly, Mike showing me what servant leadership in the swimming community looks like. I appreciate that. Ian Kobus, and every day, every conversation, he pushes me to be a better coach. Rob Damuth, he helps me not take myself too seriously, and also shows me what it looks like to get fired up for your kids. Tom Hudson, the Cavs of Laramie, for 15 years of hanging out and talking swimming and life at NISCA events. Rob and Ian will know this reference, but our MISCA intergroup and the text message thread that we have, it allows a safe space to unload, blow off some steam, reset to be the best for our kids, our families, and for Michigan high school swimming and diving as a whole. And also the MISCA and NISCA communities, the swimming and diving community, all the sharing and support that is offered through those. Thank you very much.
Okay, let's move on to our Collegiate Scholastic Awards. We'll have Arville and Joe Lawton will be speaking for Arville. And Arville McElroy is our awards winner. I will say that Dana Abbott was also one of our award winners, but due to some health issues, which we believe that they'll be fine and rectified, Dana will be presented his award next year.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for allowing me to be here. This is my first opportunity to be in front of to NISCA. Arville has been my coach for many, many years. Actually, once he asked me this, thinking back to my high school career when he coached me, I was a little blown away because it's almost 20 years ago. I just really haven't looked back to some of those stories, but it's been a pleasure trying to put the speech together and to talk about Coach for a minute. So, good afternoon once again. Congratulations to all the award recipients thus far. My name is Joe Lawton, and it's my honor as a former swimmer of Coach Arville's at Olathe South High School in Olathe, Kansas, and collegiate swimmer at Niagara University to present this year's Collegiate Scholastic Trophy. The Collegiate Scholastic Trophy is awarded by both the CSCAA and National Interscholastic Swimming Coaches Association. It's the highest honor in intercollegiate and interscholastic swimming and diving awarded to the individual who has made the greatest contribution to swimming as a competitive sport, as a healthful recreational activity in the province of the scholastic education. The recipient of this year's trophy is a man who has shaped the lives of countless athletes with a career that spans over 40 years. Myself and many others in this room can attest to the role that he has played in our lives, both in and out of the pool. I am truly honored and flattered to have been considered to present this trophy to someone that I consider to me that is more than just a coach, but he's also a mentor and a friend. So I'm thankful, of course, to present this to Coach Arvel McElroy. Coach has not only spent decades molding athletes, but has also served as the president of the Kansas Swimming Association, Zone 5 District of NISCA, Secretary of NISCA, twice as president of NISCA, and is currently serving as a marketing director, outreach coordinator, and working in international programs. The NFHS coaching swimming course was written by him, and he was just completed the creation of the NISCA's coaching certification program. During the course of his career, he has coached numerous state champions, 4 state championship teams, numerous academic All-Americans, diving All-Americans, swimming All-Americans, and para-swimming All-Americans. He is the past Kansas Swimming Coach of the Year and the NFHS Section 5 Coach of the Year. He has been a speaker at the ASCA and various state clinics across the country. Safe to say, Coach McElroy is a very busy man. But it's not only what he does by the pool, but who he is as a person that really makes him exceptional. You know, Coach Arvel is one of the most dedicated and selfless and impactful men that I have had the honor of knowing. He constantly goes above and beyond and genuinely loves seeing his athletes succeed. He happily gives his time and energy and is a lifeline to so many young men and women who face the pressures of balancing life as an athlete and a student. He has made a personal commitment to help me personally find a Division I school to attend, and he supported me and many others in swimming careers beyond high school. On top of that, him and his wonderful wife, Linda, flew halfway across the country just to see me compete at my very first swim meet. Coach Arvel's unwavering commitment and his unrelenting spirit is so infectious and inspiring. When you see him out there by the pool with a smile on his face, you can truly get a sense of just how much he loves this sport. I want to speak on behalf of the thousands of athletes that he's connected and coached through over the years and say thank you to Coach Arvel. You continue to lead by example and have already created a legacy in the swimming community, not only in Kansas, but also across the country. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in recognizing the recipient of this year's Collegiate Scholastic Trophy, Coach Arvel McElroy.
Not sure that I'm going to be able to get through this. Well, as Joe pointed out, I didn't coach for the accolades. I didn't coach for the numbers. When I was asked to fill out paperwork on what my dual record was over the years and so forth, I have no idea. Didn't really matter. The improvement of each of the athletes in and out of the pool, the connections that I made with them and their parents, it's what was important to me. Joe asked me this afternoon, how many kids have you coached? I have no idea. I remember my 3rd year of coaching boys team that year. I ended up the season with 7 boys. The next year we had 14. Word got around school that if you wanted a varsity letter, you went out for swimming. And varsity letters were important then. The next year I had 36 boys show up for swimming in a 4-lane pool with diving going on at the same time, of which I had to coach both. The rest is, kind of foggy as to how many kids I had, when I had them, and so forth. But I think back to Ernie Jawotsky, somebody you have no idea who he is. He was the Kansas representative to NISCA. And I went to a dual meet at his pool the first year I was coaching. And Ernie said, are you a member of NISCA? You need to be a member of NISCA, your professional organization, if you're going to coach. So I joined. And then Ken Geip, former president of NISCA, when I was getting the NISCA Journal and I was leafing through it, and it said that they were looking for a Zone 5 director. So I called Ken up. He'd never met me, told him who I was. He said, you've got the job. I went to my first NISCA conference in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and the rest is kind of, as they say, history. Okay, I've had great opportunities to work with some wonderful people. Peter Hugo was a groomsman when Linda and I got married. I have to thank Linda for all of the support. For my son, Alec, who isn't here, that I drugged as a 4-year-old to swim practices on Saturday morning because I was a single parent. You know, Linda, well, the boys kind of know Linda for her chocolate chip cookies because her chocolate chip cookies are pretty special. And there was a time when we had a state meet and Joe got into the chocolate chip cookies right after prelims, and we're on the way to the buffet dinner after prelims, and he decided to have 17 of the chocolate chip cookies before we ever got to dinner. I think he was afraid that everybody else was going to take some, and he wasn't going to get the whole box himself. But she still makes the chocolate chip cookies. She still puts up with the fact that if we have morning practices, I'm getting up at 3:10 in the morning, and she allows me to go to bed at 7 o'clock at night. It doesn't do a whole lot for spending time with your wife when you're at the pool at 4:20 in the morning and you don't get home till 6 o'clock at night. But she's been a wonderful support and a rock. And, she put up with the kids coming to the house for team dinners. The scavenger hunt that we did, and they were going to have cookies with Linda, and she was cleaning out the refrigerator and pulled out the fruit tray that she was going to throw away, and the girls walk in, and they devour everything in sight, even the stuff that she was going to throw away. And she was just marveled at how much they ate. But she was also there when I was writing courses for the National Federation when I was president, and didn't seem to have anybody else that would do it. She's just been there, and so I want to thank her more than anything. She deserves this award as much as I do. But NISCA itself, with the relationships, and the swimmers with the relationships, is why I think most of us are here and why we do this sport. It's a great sport. The girls the other day, we just started our season. I missed 2 swim meets this week, our first 2 swim meets of the season. I didn't have Russ there this year to take care of that because I've moved on back to the other school where I used to coach. But the girls were asking me, well, what did you swim in high school? And I went, I grew up in a small town of 3,000. We didn't have an indoor pool. I ran track. Well, how did you get involved with swimming? Well, I was lifeguarding in Wichita, Kansas, and we had a summer league team, and somebody had to coach them that summer. The next year, I was a manager at a pool that was brand new across from a high school. And 2 of the kids that were hanging out at the pool every day, one a diver and one a swimmer, said, why don't you apply for our high school position? We don't have a high school coach and we need one. I didn't get the job. But I got hired at one of the other high schools, Wichita Heights, instead. That pool rat, as we called them at the time, one who hung out at the pool every day, is now the head coach at Wichita Heights High School and is the president of the Kansas Swim Coaches Association. I blame him for me getting involved so many years ago, 42 years ago. But it's been the best 42 years that I can think of. Thank you so much.
I just got hi, Dana. Dana's been texting me. He wants everyone to know that quite contrary to what happened, he wasn't attacked by a humpback whale. He's just broken a few ribs, that's all. So no need to worry about Dana. Dana's fine. We're going to just veer a little bit off of the, I'm going to wait for a few seconds for the Hall of Fame. I'd like to first, our Lifetime Award winners. We have 2 this year, and it was so appropriate to have these 2 people be picked and selected at the same time. Rich Hood was not able to be here today, but Rich Hood was a huge part of the last 25, 30 years of NISCA. It was his insight to start the academic awards. He was president once. He did the All-American for a long time, and he is absolutely deserving of this award. So I'd like to just say, if Rich is watching, congratulations, you deserve this award. Marnie asked me the other day if she had to talk. Now, Susie, you said something about being afraid or one of your fear factors. I don't know if it's one of Marnie's fear factors, but she asked if she had to, and I said, no problems, you don't have to. Then all of a sudden she comes and she sees this incredible plaque and says, Peter, you told me I didn't have to talk. But then I said, but I told you I didn't. But how can I not when I see that plaque? So now she's mad at me. But in the meantime, let me tell you just a little bit about Marnie, because this is an award that's incredible. Marnie's gosh, she's the face of our academic awards. It's a thankless job. She has got to deal with, you can figure it out, not only coaches, not only parents, but administrators. So she's but she's got to do it online or on the phone. It's not even face-to-face. But again, she and Rich have been, I don't know if this is whatever, but they've been tied at the hip. They've been working so hard, so long together. And we're happy that Marnie didn't go when Rich did, because I think everyone here would agree that we all thought that you would. And we're thankful that you didn't. So let's welcome our lifetime member here, Marnie Shirley. And she is going to say a few words.
Well, those of you that know me and that have been at these conferences and the awards things before know that I come up here and everything's written down word for word. It's a the and an and, all in the right places, and that's the only way that I do it. So yes, Susie, there is a fear by other people of speaking in front of other people. It's much easier to speak in front of your students or my athletes, but I don't know, I just feel more comfortable. But at any rate, these are not on my notes, so Rich and I became very good friends. When I started coming to NISCA in the 80s, there was a group of guys, and they called them the Nebraska Boys. And we were all in the same zone, and I was the only female around. And so the Nebraska Boys allowed me to be part of the Nebraska group. And that's where our friendship started, and that was in the 80s at some time. And towards the end. And in 1992, Rich was elected president of NISCA. And so he asked me at that time if I wouldn't take over being the All-America chair and the academics. And I have been doing the academics since. And I thank my lucky stars that Mark Onstadt was made the coordinator, because then I no longer had to deal with the crazies out there who thought that they could get away with just about anything, and now he gets to deal with some of those people. So I appreciate that a whole ton. At the time, I was kind of like, what? And now I'm very, very happy. It is the 30th anniversary of being part of the All-America program. It's not without its frustrations. People are applying for academic awards when their stuff comes to me, and you would think if you are academically that strong that you could read the directions and that you could probably follow the directions. And I don't know how to make them any simpler and any more exactly what you have to do than what is already there. But next year we're going to have it a lot easier because we're going to go all online, so hopefully they can follow those techie rules and regulations that I'm trying to write, and I'm not techie. The one thing that everybody has talked about is the friendships, and I feel like I get some of those applications every year, and they've become my friend. You know, it's like, oh, that's from so-and-so, and it's perfect. And that's from this guy that every year I have to tell him everything to do. You would think that you would figure it out from year to year, but they don't. And probably the best part is just coming here. You know, you talk about friendships, and I look at the people that are here all the time, that they just become your forever friend. And that is what I look at NISCA to be. It's just a forever friend. Thank you very much.
Okay, getting close to the end. Our Hall of Fame award. I'd like to bring up Tamara Bredling to speak on behalf of Tom Hudson. Oh, you're over there. Okay.
Well, I didn't win the award. All right, good afternoon. My name is Tamara Breding, and I have been an assistant swim coach under Tom Hudson for going on 14 years now. While Tom has an impressive list of accolades that made him a great candidate for the NISCA Hall of Fame, I'd like to spend some time talking about the things that aren't listed in the program with his now 21 state titles, 30 All-Americans, and 26 Coach of the Year awards, among other things. I'd like you all to take a moment and think about the people who got you to where you are today. Who would be on that list? Given the setting, I imagine that we all have a coach on that list of people, maybe more than one. And why is that? Because great coaches do so much more than coach the sport. They develop humans. When you ask Tom's past swimmers what they remember and what they're grateful for from their time on Tom's team, they surely won't tell you about that one set in that crazy practice in the middle of December. No. They will remember getting yelled at for playing mermaid or for throwing kickboards 1 minute after the Save Your Energy During Paper speech. They will remember Tom not letting them quit when life threw hurdles their way. Kids come all the time, try to quit. He has a meeting with them in his office, and he says, you can come back tomorrow and quit, and then they don't. They will remember the one-on-one conversations about building relationships and representing themselves to the best of their abilities. They will remember the family that is Laramie Swimming. For those of you that know Tom, you know that he is an incredible person. He gives everything to the Laramie Swimming family, and apparently to the NISCA Swimming family as well. In my time as his assistant, I have learned so much about coaching and caring for kids. He has taught me how to train his team through a season, yes, but he has also taught me how to help an athlete through an emotional crisis like the loss of a parent. He has taught me how to motivate that swimmer who wants to quit in the moment, but who we know will regret that decision for the rest of their life if they follow through with it. He has taught me how to create a humorous environment when we're working through that one point in the season that everyone is struggling through. He has taught me patience, caring, and kindness, even in the most frustrating moments. But Tom hasn't just been teaching me about coaching. Tom has been a role model for athletes and coaches throughout the state of Wyoming for his entire career. In fact, many of the coaches in the state have either been his athletes or his assistant coaches prior to starting their coaching careers. I can't tell you how proud I am of his induction into the NISCA Hall of Fame, nor how fortunate I am to have worked with him for all these years. But now I'm going to shut up before he fires me for too long of a speech. So, ladies and gentlemen, Tom Hudson.
Thank you, Tamara, for such a kind introduction. And I did tell her to be brief, so that was pretty good. It's been a pleasure working with Tamara for the past 13 years, almost 14. You have made me a better coach. You take on the things that I don't like. Marnie, Tamara would fill out an impeccable form, okay? I don't I don't do that stuff. Okay, so she does that stuff and takes care of me every day, and you've become a true friend. Thank you, Tamara. Just a little bit before I get started, this has been mentioned before by Peter, but I was looking through the pictures as well, and I noticed Eric Talsma looks homeless. Whereas I look like I just did 10 years at Shawshank. So I'm not sure where we got that picture, Eve, but I do have hair now. So thank you so much. I want to introduce some friends that are here. Shauna Morgan in the back of the room is an outstanding swimming coach from Lander, Wyoming, a school of 500 kids that just had 3 automatic All-American relays this year, and her program has just won 26 state championships. So an up-and-coming coach. 6 of those are hers, but an amazing coach. And I want to thank her for attending from Lander, Wyoming. I want to start by just thanking people and starting with my lovely wife, Margaret. I started coaching swimming in July of 1986 with Laramie Swim Club. Shortly before that, one of the assistant coaches was friends with Margaret and introduced us in 1986. This coming summer, we'll celebrate 33 years married in August. None of this would have been possible without all of her love and support. So thank you. I'd also like to thank my 3 children. They were not able to attend this afternoon. They are Michael, Anna, and Nicholas. They all endured many late nights at the pool waiting for me to finish practice and many weekends without their dad while I was away on swim trips. However, they were all fortunate enough, maybe not in their opinion, but to be a part of my program. Michael and Anna both as swimmers, and Nicholas as a reluctant swimmer turned diver. But it was such a special time and a joy of my life when they were all on my team. I'd like to thank my mom and dad. My dad, Ray, is here. My mom passed about 10 years ago, but they taught me what sacrifice and hard work is all about. They raised 4 children, both worked full-time jobs, but always found a way to keep us in our many activities and supported. Next, my 3 sisters, who are all here and having lots of laughs at my expense over the weekend. My sisters, Lisa, Peggy, and Marlene. They have all been a great support in all these years. At the beginning, sitting at endless swim meets, and they shared this story earlier, and it's funny that I brought it up, but when I first started, I was a terrible swimmer. Started at 8 years old, 9 years old. And they all remember going to Cody, Wyoming, and watching me swim at 200 IM, and it probably took me close to 5 minutes. I got DQ'd 3 or 4 times in the 200 IM, and then at the end, everyone clapped for me. So they like to bring that memory up as often as they can. As I got older, I did get better. Since I've been a coach, they have been great supporters, coming to almost every state meet they can and supporting the plainsmen and lady plainsmen. Also, my brother and sister-in-law, Jane and Marty, some of my biggest supporters as well. Now on to NISCA. I would like to thank this organization and all the coaches. It's been very important to me. I first came to NISCA in 2005 to introduce my high school coach, Pat Kirk, who was receiving the Outstanding Service Award. Yesterday, Mark Onstop mentioned how his high school coach was his hero. Pat Kirk was my hero. He was a great mentor and continues to be a great friend. At that NISCA meeting, I was introduced to and started to get to know some NISCA legends. Dave Robertson and Bill Stetson were 2 of those. They were so welcoming and nice. Maybe not Stetson as much, but Dave Robertson certainly was, if you guys remember Stetson. But they welcomed me into this organization. I later ended up taking over the David H. Robertson Award at the request of the legendary David H. Robertson, and that was a great honor in my life. Moving forward, I was usually the only one from Wyoming that came, as Eric had mentioned before. And I was also quickly adopted by the Michigan contingent. Mike Torrey, Eric Talsma, Greg Phil, Ian Kovas, Denny and Liz Hill, and the great Eve Julian. They made me feel welcome and an honorary Michigander, and I have always appreciated that. As I mentioned earlier, I started out swimming in Sheridan, Wyoming, and was a slow starter. I turned the corner in this sport when Pat Kirk started coaching me in 8th grade. I was lucky enough to be recruited by another mentor at the University of Wyoming. His name was Frank Vicky. Had he not given me that chance to swim in college, I know I wouldn't be standing here today. I learned a lot from my coach of junior and senior year, Mike Doan, and I learned so much from him as well. After my 4th year of college, I struggled to find my identity and who I was. I had always been Tom Hudson's swimmer. What was next? Well, I started with Laramie Swim Club, as I mentioned, in 1986, and knew I wanted to coach. So I changed majors after 5 years of college to become a PE teacher and a swim coach. I had just met Margaret, and she was 100% supportive of this change, so I went back to the drawing board in school. And I like to joke that my senior year in college was the toughest 5 years of my life. I made it through. I wasn't the greatest student, but I survived with lots of help. My biggest break as a coach probably was being assigned my student teaching with the legendary Lane Kapishka of Laramie High School. Some of you may have heard of him. He coached 20 years at Laramie High School, earned 18 state championships in those 20 years. He stepped down from coaching after the 1988 season and gave me the opportunity to be the assistant boys coach. I did that for 2 seasons and then was appointed as the head boys coach. Lane tragically passed away in 1992, and I was hired shortly thereafter as aquatics director and swim instructor at LHS. So here I am taking over for this amazing coach in person. I said 18 state championships, a dual meet record of 418 wins, 18 losses, and 2 ties over 20 years. My first year at Laramie High School, we won 3 meets, lost 11, and got 10th at state. So a bad start. But it got better. The next year we were 4th, then 2nd. Then we were pretty much relevant the rest of the time. But what a break I got from Coach Kapishka, and I truly appreciate that. I want to close by saying that coaching all these years at Laramie has been my dream job. Our successes have been attributed to many things: hard work, sticking to traditions, making kids feel like they are a part of something better than themselves. Laramie Swimming is a family, as Tamara mentioned. I preach that all the time. I'm honored to be a part of that family, and I have been very blessed. Thank you so much.
Tom, Dana's not here on the screen, but trust me, he's here, and he said you own a pair of long pants? And finally, last but certainly not least, has been a friend of ours forever. So I believe might have been the first time that I met him was in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee. I had a boy that transferred from Oshkosh, Wisconsin to Great Neck. It was a family that they all knew or, was from the area. And that developed a relationship that I've had with Mike forever. I'm very honored that Mike is getting this award, but at this time, I would like to, who do we have here? Kyle Bedell.
I have to get my cheaters out so I can read my notes. And first, Mike, I have to apologize. So this is what you asked for. So at the state meets,
a couple weeks ago, I had some striped pants on, and Mike wanted me to wear them, but we're going to get to that. My name is Kyle Betelov. I am the current Wisconsin Scholastic Swim Coaches Association president, and thanks to Mike's encouragement, I am now the new NISCA Records and Archives chairperson. Hang on a second. This doesn't feel right. Hang on. Bear with me. It's a free show. Free show. It's still PG. Don't worry. So we can't really do this without honoring Mike the correct way. With a Hawaiian shirt. I have known Mike for a long time in the swimming world. He coached swimming and diving for 47 years in Wisconsin, but I really did not get to know him very well until 2013 at the Wisconsin High School Girls State Meet. My assistant coach at the time was Sarah Wardecki, who Mike definitely knows. And when she was a high school in the Fox Valley area where Mike was also coaching. At the state meet, she was super excited to make sure I knew and met Mike. I'm confident that our friendship started that day. His swimming career is very impressive and speaks for itself. National Federation Boys Swimming and Diving Coach of the Year 2004, WISCA Boys Swimming Coach of the Year 3 times, WISCA Boys Diving Coach of the Year, WISCA Outstanding Service Award. He received his NISCA 25 Years of Service Award in 2004, and the city of Neenah on March 16th, 2005, recognized him as Mike Schulke Day. But for me, it's the character of Mike that makes me honored to introduce him for this prestigious award. His leadership in the state of Wisconsin and at the national level are things that inspire me. He should be an example to all coaches. Mike, I need you to come forward now. So I had to give you your shirt as well so we can match. Okay? I consider Mike a great friend, a fun golf partner, and a true mentor. Congratulations, Mike, as you're inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Thanks. Now I know what you meant by before and after picture. It's funny, I brought 3 Hawaiian shirts this week. I had one left, and my wife said, "No, you're not wearing it tonight." So that's tomorrow. I have been blessed to have a wife that supported me without fail. For 2 years, she was an assistant coach with me. And for many years after that, she ran the head table at our home swim meets. We learned the computer program together when that came in. Before that, there was no computer program. When our children were involved in school activities that I could not attend because of coaching, she would videotape, and I could watch them when I got home. Most importantly, she was my sounding board for any and all things. She kept me level. I have been blessed to have 2 children who understand that I was always there for them. I get emotional, sorry. Even when I was not home all the time because of coaching. But they both swam on the high school team. For those 6 years, it was outstanding. They swam because it was their choice. I kind of steered them, but it was their choice. We always had a rule that you'll be involved with something. We don't care what it is, but you'll be involved in something. And they chose swimming. I've been blessed to have parents that saw the need for me to be in swim lessons. Tom, you said you were an outstanding swimmer at 8 years old. With that, I am. Trust me, I'm in awe. I went to swim lessons since I was in first grade. I did not let them get my face wet until I was 9. My parents saw this, but they were persistent. They persisted, and my love of swimming started right then when I was 9, when the instructor actually picked me up and threw me in the pool, and I went underneath the water and came up and said, it wasn't that bad. Do it again. I've been blessed to have a sister, Lori, who is here, that coached with me for 23 years. Her husband, Tom, was the announcer at our meets for many of those years. In all my years of coaching, I cannot remember a more rewarding time than those years together. I have been blessed to have team members that still remember me. When they communicate with me on Facebook, in text, on the phone, or in person, they always refer back to the times that we had together. Mostly good memories. I have been blessed to coach against other coaches and officials that have become friends with me over the years, several of that I golf with on a regular basis. I have been blessed to have been a part of NISCA as a member for over 30 years, as a part of the letterhead for 15 years. I have a special shout out to 3 of those people, Ed Zepka from Appleton West, who gave me the opportunity and the push to become a NISCA member, to Bob White, who was the National Records and Archives person before me, and he grabbed me and says, "You'll take over after I'm done." And also for Kyle Bedlove for taking over that position from me. I have been very blessed to be part of this. Thank you.
Okay, before we close, I would like to challenge all our swim coaches that are here today, retired swim coaches, that when we meet again next year in Knoxville, that you try to bring one of your friends. You never know where it's going to happen, where they're going to catch the fire. They don't, when I first started out, it took me, I want to say maybe 8 years to get a position to help out in NISCA, but I kept coming because I believed in the organization. I think I know we need to get some new blood. So you've got to explain to our young people out there why is it so important to be here. Maybe they're not going to get the clinics that they get elsewhere, the information they're going to get elsewhere, but what they don't see and what's so important is what everybody here said. It's about the camaraderie. It's what you learn here that you bring back. I'll never forget, I had a boy from Princeton, went to Princeton, swam for Princeton. Father was a big doctor, and I would always say, I'm coming up to NISCA and this and that. And he'd always say to me, what do you need to do that for? That's what do you need? And I said, I just want to come back with one thing. We heard that, just one thing. Well, that's all you need, one thing. So challenge, find people to challenge, get them here, and maybe, let us see if we can keep them here. So that's my challenge to you. I'd like to thank everyone that's here. Would all of our winners please stand? Let's give one round of applause to all the winners that are here. All right. We're officially closed. And I will say that it's not so bad. If I didn't realize we would be waiting till after dinner, it would have been a little better. But things worked out well. We have plenty of time. I'd like to ask the award winners to come up. We'll take a picture of the Outstanding Service Award winners. Then we'll take a picture of the other two. And then we're going to put you together for one big picture. And then we'll also have a picture of our presidents that are, our past presidents that are still here. Okay? All right. You're free to go. Thank you very much. And we'll see you next year in